Welcome to Map Your Mind. Travel through the world with your brain. Alright, let's take a deep dive into one of the most unique, mysterious, and enchanting lands on Earth, Madagascar. A place where baobab trees stand like ancient guardians, lemurs leap through rainforest, and the air carries the whispers of centuries past. But beyond the wild nature documentaries and dreamy beaches, Madagascar holds a human story that's every bit as awe-inspiring. One of migration, kingdoms, colonial conquest, rebellion, and resilience. Where Asia meets Africa. Let's rewind way back. Roughly 1,500 to 2,000 years ago. The first settlers didn't come from nearby Africa, as you might expect. They came by boat, all the way from Southeast Asia, modern-day Indonesia. These early Austronesian voyagers crossed the vast Indian Ocean and reached this remote island with their crops, languages, and traditions. Not long after, Bana-speaking people from mainland Africa arrived too. Over time, their cultures blended into something completely distinct, a Malagasy identity that's part islander, part African, part Asian, and entirely unique. Small chiefdoms began to dot the landscape, with rice fields stretching into the hills and villages woven into the forests. The people thrived in harmony with their surroundings, navigating rivers, building canoes, and developing spiritual traditions rooted in ancestor worship and nature. The rise of kingdoms and power plays. By the 1500s, Madagascar had grown into a mosaic of powerful kingdoms. One of the most influential, the MYM Kingdom in the Central Highlands. Under rulers like Andrianam Poinamarin and his son Radama I, the MYM began to unify the island, conquering rivals and centralizing power. They built roads, created a bureaucracy, and even forged diplomatic ties with Britain and France. But this expansion wasn't just about politics, it was a cultural and economic boom too. The capital city of Antananarivo became a hub of Malagasy pride. Radama I also welcomed missionaries who brought literacy, education, and Christianity. But when his widow, Queen Ranavalona I, took over, she flipped the script. Determined to preserve traditional Malagasy customs, she rejected foreign influence, expelled missionaries, and ruled with an iron fist. Her reign is still debated today, seen by some as brutally authoritarian, by others as a fierce stand against colonialism. Colonial shadows. Madagascar managed to maintain independence far longer than many other African territories. But by the late 1800s, the French were closing in. After a brutal military campaign, France officially colonized Madagascar in 1896, exiling the last queen, Ranavalona III, to Algeria. The colonial years were marked by exploitation. The French built roads, railways, and plantations, yes, but for the benefit of French settlers. The Malagasy people were often pushed aside, forced into labor, taxed heavily, and denied basic rights. In 1947, fed up with decades of oppression, the people rose up in one of the bloodiest uprisings in French colonial history. Tens of thousands of Malagasy were killed, but the rebellion planted a seed of resistance that couldn't be erased. The long road to independence. By the mid-20th century, winds of change were sweeping across Africa. Madagascar joined the tide. After years of growing nationalism and political maneuvering, the island finally gained full independence from France on June 26, 1960. But freedom didn't mean instant peace. The decades that followed were filled with coups, economic struggles, shifting ideologies, and changing governments from military rule to socialist experiments to democratic reforms. Through it all, the Malagasy people kept holding on, protecting their languages, honoring their ancestors, and adapting to modern life while fiercely guarding their heritage. A living island of legends today, Madagascar is many things at once. It's one of the most biodiverse places on Earth, home to thousands of species found nowhere else. But it's also a cultural treasure, where oral traditions are still passed down in song and proverb, and where history isn't something trapped in textbooks, it's alive in ceremonies, stories, and the way people greet each other on the street. From the fire dances of the Antandroy people to the sacred Famadahana, where ancestors are exhumed, celebrated, and rewrapped in fresh cloth, Madagascar remains one of the world's most spiritually and culturally rich places. Fun fact, there's a reason Madagascar feels like a world of its own. It broke off from the Indian subcontinent and Africa over 80 million years ago. That's why so many plants and animals evolved in complete isolation. Lemurs, only in Madagascar. So, the next time someone mentions Madagascar, don't just picture cartoon animals. Think ancient seafarers braving the open ocean. Think of queens who ruled with strength. Think of uprisings, resilience, and a people whose roots run as deep as their rainforest. Because Madagascar isn't just a stunning island, it's a living, breathing epic of survival and soul. Thanks for watching Map Your Mind. Travel through the world with your brain. And until next time, stay curious.